With the Toronto Blue Jays being just horrible to start this first half of the season, how will they bounce back post All-Star break? We're about to break down everything you need to know.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Booking.com. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. Welcoming Carter back. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasko. Carter First, too, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you guys are new here, drop a subscription. You guys have actually been killing it with the subscriptions lately, but, we still notice a lot of you guys aren't subscribed. So drop us up. It helps us out, keeps us at the top of your guys' page, makes everything easier on everybody. If you're listening everywhere else, we really appreciate it. We are going to be doing we would like to do a mailbag at some point. So make sure you guys drop your comments, tag us mailbag if you have any questions. Make sure it says mailbag in there so we know to save those for that video. You can also hit us up on Twitter or on DM on Instagram or whatever and let us know if it's a mailbag question. We got a lot going on. Baseball is back today from the All-Star break. And then it's right into trade deadline talks. It really is. So we have a huge episode planned as well. A special guest for Friday's episode next week. Some of you may know who it is. Some of you may not, but you will. It should be a ton of fun, and we're hoping that it goes well. We'll see. Otherwise, Carter, welcome back. We got to talk about Jay's predictions, but there's a ton of news that we got to break down, and then, of course, a series preview. What's going on, my guy?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a personal day yesterday. Just got to take those once in a while. We're on the grind. We get a little bit of a break, too. We deserve our All-Star break. I was the All-Star of this podcast, obviously. Sorry, Braden, better luck next year. But, I'm actually excited for Blue Jays baseball to be back, even though they're probably going to make me hate my life within the next week. But, we've had 4 days off, and I haven't really known what to do with my time. Like, the All-Star game's on, but again, we kind of debriefed that a little bit. The All-Star game's the All-Star game. Yeah, it's nice to see Vladdy hitting, but overall, other than the Aaron Judge-Paul Skeens matchup, I didn't really care too much. It's nice the AL won, but definitely nice to have Toronto Blue Jays baseball back. Unfortunately, Jays sit 44-52 right now. Not great to say the least. 66 more games left. We can hope for a turnaround is going to happen. I guess we'll get into that in this segment. But Braden, overall, quick, just season recap. Just the word is disappointment, frustration, hell. I don't know. You could use any three of those. Just ridiculousness. Just a lot of expectation on this team, a lot more hope, a lot more dreams, and it's all came crumbling in our face through the first 96 games of the season.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's do a little bit of a recap here. We go into this season or into sort of the preseason in hopes of obtaining Shohei Ohtani. And those hopes were ripped away from each and every one of us. And honestly, that could have been the stamp of the season. That's what started it all off, the disappointment train. That's what started it off, was not getting Shohei Ohtani and being duped by the media in Toronto that we were getting him. That went down the drain. Some preseason signings that necessarily we weren't in overly favor of. One of those turned out well. One of them didn't. Justin Turner, probably not what you really wanted. He's been okay. IKF has been a delight so far this year. Then the Blue Jays start going, and it was a rocky start for everyone except Justin Turner. Going further and further into the season, Vlad starts to pick it up. George Springer's the worst player of all time. Kevin Kiermaier sucks. And then finally, just before the All-Star break, George Springer climbs up from the depths of hell to look like himself. And it is great to see. The Blue Jays do have a little bit of momentum going into the All-Star break. Then there's that week break. And now here we are, Carter. Disappointment is the exact right word. I don't know what to think. I haven't been able to really put my finger on the pulse of this team yet this season and really understand what the goal was. And now we're here looking at a possible trade deadline in a few weeks that we could see a lot of moves, which we will talk a ton more about. As sort of we mentioned before, we are doing a big 2-day sort of trade deadline talk But Carter, that's about where I sit, my guy. I don't have much hope for this team. I think that there's going to be deals made at the deadline. I think there needs to be, just to instill a little bit of hope back in this fan base.
Like for me, going back to April 20th, this team's 11-10, coming off a series win against the San Diego Padres. But it was, yeah, April 20th, 420. Maybe Kevin Gassman got to the boys a little bit in that dugout. Maybe something happened. They had a little bit of hallucinations, maybe just hit a little bit too much of that gas because then everything went as probably as bad as it ever could have went. Maybe the Blue Jays just aren't a weed team. Good for them. I don't know what happened there, but 420 turned it around for the Blue Jays and not the way that you would hope. So yeah, now we're sitting 9.5 games out of a playoff spot, and it is July. So it's not looking good. Things aren't looking up. A lot of players are probably going to be moved. Yusei Kikuchi has 2 more starts before we probably say farewell to him for his Blue Jays career. Obviously, probably not going to come back. If he does, that would be a very interesting twist. With 2 years ago, I didn't think Teoscar Hernandez would have a chance of coming back. So I mean, crazier things have happened. But overall, yeah, just very disappointed. Not a lot of good to take away. There's been some good starting pitching efforts. It's nice to see some Buffalo Bison's boys kind of hitting the ball around. But overall, bullpen, one of the worst bullpens I maybe have ever seen in my life, honestly. The offense for the first, honestly, 3/4 of the year, just not that good. George Springer was gone for, honestly, the first, again, 3/4 of the season. Bo Bichette's still not here. Bunch of different things. Hope we're going to go better. Didn't end up going our way. So what's left for us? What's left for the Toronto Blue Jays season? Things to look up to. Again, Spencer Horwitz is raking. Leo Jimenez has looked really good. Bernie Clement's been hitting well. Vladdy can hopefully continue his grind. Bo Bichette, maybe Bo Tember. Bo Tember's coming up. It's still a month and a half away. Is it going to matter at that point? Probably not. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe they get a sweep against the Detroit Tigers. But overall, it's happy baseball's back. But the trade deadline, I think, is going to be the highest point for us on this podcast, us as Blue Jays fans, because right now in October, there's not a lot of hope for that. But yeah, I guess we'll get right into it. So what is my kind of just hopes, dreams, expectations for the rest of the season? The Blue Jays have kind of drained every single ounce of hope I had in my body, and it's just gone. Like I just don't got a lot left. I got hope for Horwitz because I am horny for Horwitz, obviously. Got hope for the Buffalo boys. Got some hope, I guess, for Chris Bassett. Ricky Tiedemann maybe making a start sometime. That's another thing I'm hoping for. But overall, I mean, with how bad the bullpen is, with how the offense has played the majority of the year, starting pitching has been a little bit up and down as of late recently as well. Kikuchi's been great. Jose Barrios has not been great. Kevin Gausman has had some starts. But overall, just want to see some competitive baseball. Want to see some good things that I guess we can take into next year. Sucks again. You would have asked me in like March of this year, like, at the All-Star break here, where are the Blue Jays going to be? Maybe I'm not saying a playoff spot, but I'm definitely saying at least above 500. And here we are. So overall, not a lot of expectations for the rest of the season. Just hoping to see some good baseball, maybe some highlight plays, maybe some Kevin Pillar-esque plays, maybe some Jose Bautista bat flips, whatever it is. Just looking for some sort of enjoyment from the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's about where I am too. And I could give you a prediction on how many wins this team's going to get, but I mean, it doesn't matter. You're not making the playoffs. It really doesn't matter. One guy that I'm really excited to see post All-Star break, and I think for the rest of the season, I'm going to take it all in, is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I think he's been very, very solid. I want to just keep seeing him play good baseball, and I hope he does, because I think he shocked all of the Blue Jays sort of world this season with how he's been. I think he was very slept on, and I'm excited to see him back. I'm just honestly, this week of without baseball has made me realize that even when the Blue Jays are bad, I still love watching, and I'm still like it's honestly I didn't know what to do with myself some days. There wasn't anything to necessarily look forward to every day. At least when there's Blue Jays games on, yeah, they might kill your hope after, and you might go to bed upset, but at least you're watching baseball and you get a couple hours of enjoyment out of it. So I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped for just baseball to be here. As we always say, it's a long winter. It's nice when there's baseball and you got to sort of take it as it comes. But yeah, Carter, there's not much hope going forward. I really do hope that they can start winning some games, at least being competitive, making fun, enjoyable games out of them. And that's about, at the end of the day, all I'm hoping for. Yeah, we talked about Ricky Tiedemann a little bit, and hopefully that he gets a start. The injury bug has bit him once again, so we'll see how or if he does end up coming up to the major leagues here. But that'll be exciting if he does as well. I don't know, Carter. Do you want to give me a couple guys that you're really just excited to see post All-Star break here?
Leo Jimenez is definitely up there for me. I want to see what he can do. His at-bats have been really good recently. He's making a lot of good contact. He has a good eye as well. I love these Buffalo guys. I don't know if what's going on in AAA Buffalo, but we got to get that going on in the MLB. It seems like everyone that's coming up has a great eye. Spencer Horwitz, Ernie Clement doesn't swing at a lot of bad pitches. Contact guys, obviously. David Schneider could maybe be a guy that, again, more of a power hitter. That's kind of his style. I'm not taking too much contact away from him. But for me, overall, Leo Jimenez is a big guy. I want to see Vladdy continue a good season. I want to see him hit around 295, 300 would be great. But I do want to see him. I mean, he'd take a lot now, but I want to see him get over that 30 home run plateau. Other than that, I mean, I want to see something from Bo Bichette. Maybe this is a completely lost season. It does happen in the MLB. Again, a guy that has been rumored to be moved at the deadline. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but another guy that would be nice to pick it up. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot that I really want to see. I want to see Dalton Varsho kind of do something, I guess. He's, again, great defender, but he's got to pick it up at the plate because there's going to be that narrative that this trade was a fleecing if Dalton Varsho was going to hit 200 for his career with the Toronto Blue Jays. But overall, going back to the season predictions and just how I feel about the rest of the season, only 46-22. That gets us to 90 wins. That's very attainable. I mean, we just got to win every series and then sweep one. And we're right there. Right at 90 wins. And maybe that gets you in. Maybe it doesn't right now. Like the Boston Red Sox are only 11 games above 500. So, that's something to look forward to as well. And that is for the third wildcard spot. So Blue Jays only have to pass 5 teams and 6 in the Boston Red Sox to get the wildcard spot. That's easily attainable. So, yeah, we get a lot of up looking for sure for the Toronto Blue Jays. I just want to see one thing I do want to see is I want to see Ross Atkins go. I don't care if it's at the end of the season. I don't care if it's right after the trade deadline. Ross Atkins, the experiment has failed. Defense first is not how you win baseball games when you don't have a bullpen. You kind of need the good pitching for this defense thing to work out. So again, I want to see the Buffalo boys do well. I want to see Vladdy do well. And I want to see Ross Atkins maybe traded for a bag of chips at this point.
Yeah, we're at that point, right? And I know that there was a lot of hate on John Schneider going into this beginning of this season as well, and throughout this season. A little bit of me is past the point of where this is all John Schneider's fault. Actually, not a little bit of me, a lot of it of me. This team isn't playing up to the standard that they needed to say the very least. Ross Atkins has made questionable moves. We're going to get into this on the trade deadline episode, but I think there's going to be some really, really dumb moves made of Ross Atkins trying to save his job somehow. And I think it's going to blow up in their face. But we'll get more into that on the trade deadline episode, Carter. We got a bunch of Jays news to get to.
I got one more question for you, actually.
Go for it, yeah.
It's one thing just, again, about Ross Atkins. Do you see him being fired before the end of the season? I know it's very uncommon for managers to be fired, or general managers to be fired mid-season. Do you see that being an after-the-season thing? Do you see him being fired at all after the season? Do you think they run it back with Ross Atkins and John Schneider for next season? I just want to know your overall thoughts on what Ross Atkins' fate is with this team.
Yeah, he's not going to be fired in season. He might get fired at the end of the season, but if I'm being completely honest, I would not be shocked at all if they just run it back with the same John Schneider, Ross Atkins. I think that's not crazy out of the question. Do I want that to happen? Absolutely not. Like every other fan right now, probably. Yeah, that's terrible to say, to think, but I've seen too much of what happens here with this team, and I fully believe that that's what's going to happen after this year.
Yeah, for me, if my heart is saying I want Ross Atkins fired right now and I want Kevin Kiermaier to take over the team, maybe Justin Turner, one of the veterans that just have been around the league for a long time. But my head is saying, yeah, no, he's definitely not going to get fired midseason. I'm giving it about like a 30, maybe 35% chance he's fired in the offseason. I feel like they're going to use like, the 3 playoff appearances in 4 years thing. I don't care about that. I care about wins in the playoffs. I care about wins in general. Again, you look at Ross Atkins in the 10-year. It's not the worst thing when you're counting for wins, but wins in clutch moments, wins in big games. The Toronto Blue Jays just do not do that, and they have not done that under Ross Atkins. So overall, I hope they move on from him at the end of the season. I'm going to lean more towards that they're going to run it back, unfortunately. Again, I know a lot of Blue Jays fans, rightfully so, do not want Ross Atkins to be here. I think me and you are pretty much on the same boat. But with the front office, with the track record and stuff like that, it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of breaks down. And again, there's a lot of season left. If the Blue Jays maybe fight to around 500, probably not going to see any differences in the offseason. The Blue Jays go on another big losing streak and they're 20 games under 500 by the end of the season. Maybe something happens. Maybe there is changes. But overall, it's just, unfortunately for us, a wait and see game. that's all we can really say about the rest of the season. Not a lot of hope from either me or you, but hopefully we do get at least some positives. Take the little things at this point. Complete flip flop for us. We wanted wins. Now we're just enjoy the little things, enjoy baseball being on, because like I said before, in November, December, you're going to be wishing that the Toronto Blue Jays were getting smoked by the New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, whatever it is. Just as long as there was baseball on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we got so much more time to go over this because, like we said, huge trade deadline episodes coming out. Make sure you guys tune in for those. They are going to have a lot of opinions, and we want your opinions on those trades as well. So please, please tune into that. That is going to be a fun, crazy episode. We're going to have some fun with it. We're going to mess around. We're going to have a good time. Some cool, fun people joining us, as you guys know. We're going to take a quick break. We got a ton of Jays news to get into before we hit the series preview as well. Today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Booking.com. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. Just like me, I went down to New York to watch the Yankees and the Mets play. And Booking.com made it an unbelievable trip. It was so much fun. But oh my goodness, did I love watching the Yankees lose baseball games. It was fantastic. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival cities. We're going down to Minneapolis at the end of the summer to catch a Twins-Jays game as well. We're going to use Booking.com for that as well. So I hope you guys are taking advantage of this as well. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com or on the site or on the Booking.com app.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. So we haven't really alluded to this on the podcast, but I am playing Braden this week in fantasy. It is a close matchup up to this point. A little bit skewed with the All-Star break, but I got to just throw money on my boys. I need these guys to activate in these last 3 days. I need to win over Braden because I had a rough start to the season. And for some reason, my team isn't playing defense in fantasy. I have the most points against, which is just so typical for me. But I have Freddie Freeman on my team, so I have him more than 0.5 hits and 7 fantasy points. Brent Rooker, more than 1.5 bases. Lane Thomas, more than 1.5 bases. I'm really going all out here. Will Smith, more than 6.5 fantasy points. And I might as well throw in Vladdy, more than 1.5 bases. So if you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download Prize Picks and start making your picks today. You can download the app and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100.
So, Carter, we said there was a lot of Jays news going on, and I don't necessarily know if it's the most important stuff in the world, but it is super interesting to us. We talked about it a little bit on the car while we were trying to go get groceries, and we were chatting about some of these. So we thought, you know what? If we find it interesting, everybody else probably will as well. So a couple things just on the trade deadline coming up. We're not going to go too heavily into this, but just some things to keep in the back of your mind. The Toronto Blue Jays have no plans to trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at this moment. An overwhelming offer could make them consider such a move as well. And so that's per Mark Feinsand as well. We've talked about him a couple times. So pretty notable and quotable from him. So we'll see what happens there. Yusei Kikuchi, this is from Ben Nicholson-Smith. Yusei Kikuchi is set to make 2 pre-deadline starts, Saturday versus the Tigers and July 26th against the Rangers. That would expect a heavy pro scouting presence in Toronto this weekend with the Tigers visiting. So in that sense, Carter, I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how much stock I put into this. I feel like a lot of teams know what they're going to get from Yusei Kikuchi, but it's something to see maybe a little bit more of the intricacies of how he plays. So I don't know. We think Yusei Kikuchi's a goner for sure. Does this just add a little bit more validation to that?
Yeah, I think it's not a surprise that Kikuchi will probably be moved on an expiring contract. And in these 2 games, I mean, it's pretty smart by the organization. The Detroit Tigers offense is not that good. Texas Rangers offense is really good on paper, but they've been struggling immensely this season. So he throws 2 good starts. Maybe you get a little bit more prospects in return, maybe some highly touted players. Anything that can go Yusei Kikuchi's way, anything that can go the Toronto Blue Jays way for once this season, hopefully he can at least raise his value a little bit. Again, maybe Ross Atkins throws us a ball from left field and somehow keeps Yusei Kikuchi. I think that would be an interesting stock for the fan base, because if you're keeping Yusei Kikuchi at this point, you better be extending that man. There is no reason to keep him and then just let him walk for free in the offseason. A lot of teams need a lefty. He's going to have some sort of market that's probably going to give us the biggest return. So I'm surprised Yusei Kikuchi is rumored to be on the move. Not whatsoever. I mean, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, and we'll get into all that on the trade deadline episodes we have coming up. Go into that very aggressively because it is probably, if not the biggest talking point, it's right up there for us at the trade deadline. Carter, another sort of cool thing, the Blue Jays did release their 2025 schedule. Just a quick thing. Baltimore Orioles at Rogers Center to kick everything off. That is, I believe, what is that date? That is the end of March, I believe, as well. The last sort of week in March there against the Orioles. So I don't know, Carter. That might be a trip out for the boys that at that point in the season. Hopefully, we have a little bit more hope than we did this year, and we can go down there and maybe watch this team hopefully piece everything together and win some baseball games next season.
See, I would love to go out for that, but it depends what they do in the offseason. It depends what this team looks like. If they don't add bats, I'm not going. Like, I'm not wasting my time, my money watching the season opener against, again, the Baltimore Orioles. They're going to be good. Like, they're going to be good next year. We'll see what they do in the playoffs this season because they're definitely going to be there. So, again, it's going to really depend on what happens at the trade deadline, how the rest of the season goes, who performs well, what happens in the offseason. There's a lot of time between then and now. Definitely in the cards for us, though. Like, something that I would definitely love going to. We got the Rogers Center for the Rays series. Didn't go exactly the Toronto Blue Jays way, but what series went the Toronto Blue Jays way this year? Not a lot of them, but one experience. Definitely something that I want to make a yearly basis for us. The Locked On Blue Jays boys. Hopefully a few of our other friends going out as well. We got some connections down there now. Just, very excited. Again, it really depends on what happens in the offseason, though.
For sure. Sort of another interesting thing I found here was how much money each MLB team made last year and how much of that is going towards their payroll this season. A little bit interesting. This is from the Game Day MLB. And I believe this is from, I can't remember where this is from exactly, but they put it out. And it is, so taking a look at the Blue Jays payroll in 2023 their revenue was $328 million. They spent on payroll $246 million, which is the second highest in the MLB at 75% of the revenue that the team earns goes directly to their payroll, which I found pretty interesting. We're only behind the Mets. And some of these teams I didn't necessarily expect, but I mean, when you look at a team like, I don't know, the Yankees or the Dodgers, they're bringing in so much more money than the Blue Jays are. The Dodgers are spending a lot more than the Blue Jays, but the Yankees, I mean, it's not crazy. It's more, but it's not insane, but they're bringing in so much more revenue. I think just as a sort of a fan that doesn't necessarily look at the side of money when it comes to baseball because of the non-salary cap. I don't think about it all the time, but sort of an interesting look there.
Looking at payroll stuff just kind of drives me nuts as a Blue Jays fan. Like, we have the 8th highest payroll in baseball, and it has translated to absolutely nothing. Just sad feelings, just depression, just a lot of every negative feeling that I've ever felt in my life has been experienced this season. But yeah, overall, like it could be worse. I guess we could be Mets fans. Like that's not great either.
That's tough.
But I mean, it could be a lot better. We could be Dodgers fans. We could be in on Shohei Ohtani. We could have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. So many good players in the Dodgers system. Yeah, and again, like you're looking at again, a little bit off topic, but Tyreek Skubal has been rumored to go to the Dodgers or the Orioles. Again, those are two teams that just have stockpiles of prospects in their systems. They obviously have MLB talents as well. So that's going to be an interesting betting war. Hopefully the Orioles don't get him because Skubal, Burns in the same division. Just not something I'm looking forward to. And looking at the schedule as well, the first series is a 4-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. Just exactly how you want to start your season. The only way it would have been worse is if it was at Camden Yards. And even just, again, going back to the schedule thing again, they have a stretch where it's Baltimore, Braves, Mariners, Astros, Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies.
Yeah.
Twins. Still the Twins in there too. Like that's terrible. That's a month at the start of your season. That is just going to be torture. But again, let's go through the torture that is in front of us first. We can get into that when that actually comes over. But you try to get excited about anything, and it just seems like you're getting slapped in the face from every single direction.
Well, and that's the thing, Carter. You talked about let's go through the torture in front of us first. And oh boy, is it torture. The Blue Jays ranked 6th in the strength of the remaining schedule. They have the highest rated or toughest schedule coming up, the 6th highest rated schedule coming up, which is painful because they've sucked so far. It is hard to imagine a world where they come out on top, even even becoming close to 500, I don't think is realistic at this point.
Not whatsoever. And that actually takes me into something I want to do here is predict the final record for the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know if you have this ready, so I'll go first. But yeah, I mean, the sixth hardest schedule in baseball. You got the AL East, obviously a lot of games remaining against them. It's again, you look for something positive. It's very hard for us to be positive on this podcast, unless you're talking about the Buffalo Boys, to be honest. But overall, like there's not a lot of looking up for the Toronto Blue Jays team. So that's why I went over my record. I fought with this for a little bit. I have them winning 69 games. I have them losing 93 games. They're going to be a million games under 500. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. This stretch is going to only get worse. This team, unfortunately, at the deadline is only going to get worse, believe it or not. So you think you're watching bad baseball now. At least at that point, the expectations will be lower. We'll get to see the young guys play more baseball. Maybe they'll play more loose. Maybe they'll make a little bit more crazy plays, but I just don't see anything going well for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. And that sucks for me because I had this team winning 89 games at the start of the season. So right now I have them being 20 off of that mark.
Yeah.
Tough soap for me.
Yeah. I had them winning 90 games. That is just insane. I have them finishing with 74 wins, Carter. That's where I'm at. And that might be high. Realistically, it might be high.
That's 7 games below 500. So I mean, that you have them going 1 game above 500 the rest of the way. I don't see that happening.
You're probably right. That's almost it's more of a hope than anything. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's I feel like it's going to get so much worse, unfortunately for us. And again, we're covering this podcast. We're covering this team. We're watching the Blue Jays every single day. Again, I'm not going to complain about it because I love baseball. I love watching the Jays. I, again, prefer them to actually have a pulse and be a good baseball team. But you're in the AL Beast. You have a struggling team with too many veterans. That's another thing. Ross Atkins, if he is somehow here, I am sick of signing these guys at the end of their MLB 10 years, their MLB careers. Justin Turner, again, he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been, I guess, horrible. I want him to be a lot better than he is right now. Then you got Kevin Kiermaier. I don't think anyone loved that deal going into it. $10.5 million is just way too much for Kevin Kiermaier. So many other good options. Let's retire the retirement home. Like we're not a retirement home. We're not.
Yeah.
It's like a old folks home for these guys. Let them have their bet. Like let's get them when they're actually in their primes. How about let's try to sign some 30-year-olds when they're actually good at baseball. Again, a little bit of ricochet shots here at Justin Turner, Kevin Kiermaier, but overall, we gotta everything that Ross Atkins has ever known about baseball. If he still is someone here, just start fresh, absolute redo. Just forget everything and focus on a new strategy. Get a new plan. Do exactly the opposite of what you just did for the season.
Yeah, Carter, I'm with you, my guy. It's going to be a painful stretch here. I might be more optimistic, or I didn't want to say optimistic because I honestly don't even believe what I said. I just am praying. I'm praying to watch good baseball. I'm praying that they're going to do okay. It probably won't happen, but I got to be the a little bit of I got to have some light at the end of the tunnel here. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get back to baseball here. The Tiger series is coming right up, and Carter, there's a lot to talk about. And I know there's a lot to talk about in other sports, so I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, so just before we do it out, Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, the Amazon Fire TV's channel app, whether it's the MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, the major four sports, college sports, WNBA, pretty much any sport you can think of will be on there at any time throughout the day. So whenever it's convenient for you, be sure to check that out. So yeah, we've got a baseball back, a Tigers series. I don't know what we're expecting. I'm not expecting a lot. I don't got a lot left. The pitching matchups aren't out, but we'll break that all down after this short break. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trade can help you get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. As you guys all know, FanDuel is one of my favorite apps on my phone because I like to bet on sports. I'm not one of those, I thank God that I don't play in the MLB because then I couldn't bet on it. I love sports so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs obviously have wound down in the NHL and NBA, there are fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever, wherever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Like I said, I hammered the home run derby, won that. Teoscar Hernandez, 11-1 odds. Bank it for me. Loved it. First time I've won in a while. I haven't been betting as much, but I'm getting back into it now because I won some money. So head over to fanduel.com and start making the most out of your summer. So, Carter, baseball is back today. The Toronto Blue Jays versus the Detroit Tigers. First matchup, Yusei Kikuchi versus Olsen. Olsen had a 3.3 ERA over the season. Kikuchi 4.42. Then it's Montero versus Gosman. Montero at a 5.47. Gosman at a 4.5. And then, did I miss a game? Oh, I missed a game. Sorry. It's, first of all, today, Flaherty versus Bassett. Flaherty 3.13, and then Bassett 3.53. Then it's the Kikuchi Olsen, and then it's the Montero Gosman after that. Yeah, my guy. I mean, I need 2 out of 3 here, to say the very least. I think this debatably needs to be a sweep.
See, I need Bo Bichette to be back, and I need him to hit a home run. That's what I need. I don't even need wins anymore because I've kind of given up on the Toronto Blue Jays season, unfortunately. Unless somehow they come out with a sweep or something, they gotta start winning games quickly if they want to actually have a chance of making the playoffs. I think we're being a little bit delusional at this point if we think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to go on a run because their total winning streak, their highest winning streak of the season, is a whopping 4. I can count it on one hand. So again, they're going to need to probably double that, maybe even triple that if they want a chance at this. So I just want to see players perform well. I want Spencer Horwitz to play every single day. I want them to actually test him out against left-handed pitching. Do I want 2 out of 3? Yes, it's a lot more fun watching baseball when the Toronto Blue Jays win. Am I expecting that? Probably not. We get lucky and we avoid Skubal again, which I'm sort of indifferent on at this point. The first time we avoided him, I'm like, thank God we don't have to face Skubal. Now, the position we're in, I kind of want to see just a dominant pitcher pitch against the Toronto Blue Jays. But unfortunately for us, we might get to see him a lot more often if he does end up going to the Baltimore Orioles. But Reese Olson, probably going to dial on us. It's one of those series, man. Hopefully they can switch something up. Maybe the entirety of the Toronto Blue Jays roster just has a Bo Bichette, a Bo Tember, just have that throughout July, August, September, the entire 2.5 months left in the season. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go 1 out of 3. I'm gonna go realistic here because the Toronto Blue Jays have not shown me a lot this season at all. For the D-backs, like that was just a lot of pain as well. I don't really see them turning things around, so I got 1 out of 3.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. We got me and Dal did the player breakdown yesterday, and we got some good comments. Some people giving us their thoughts, and honestly, it was appreciated. Some of it was like us, some of it was a little bit different. Some people are higher on some guys than we are. Some people are lower on some guys than we are. We just honestly, Carter, I'd be okay with just seeing the offense go off, even if we blow the game every time. If the offense is putting up 6-7 runs, Carter, I'm just about happy with that at this point. I'm pretty thrilled. The offense has looked better as of recent, so if they can keep that going, and I mean, Yimi Garcia should be back. I don't know if there's been a confirmation yet or not. I haven't heard anything, but it'll be good to see him when he returns as well.
I'm assuming IKF is going to be back. I'm assuming Yimi's going to be back. I'm not 100% sure about Bo Bichette. Obviously, a re-aggravation of the injury there. That's going to be interesting to see. Dalton Varsho's another guy, should be back. So you're getting reinforcements, which is nice. But overall, again, I'm just like, they got to prove something to me here. They've had to prove something to me for the last month and a half. They have not done that. You start to see a little bit. They beat the Mariners in a series. And then, yeah, the D-back series probably should win one there. The bullpen blows 2 games. Could have went 7-3 on that road trip. But they go 5-4. I mean, that's a winning record. There you go. Let's start battling back game by game. But overall, yeah, just they got to show something on a more consistent basis. One thing, kind of a random throw in here, but I did look this up, so I want to just go over Bo Bichette and just the problem with Bo Bichette if he is back for this game. So one thing I looked at is barrel rate, and obviously if you're watching these games, Bo Bichette, some of the swings he's taking are absolutely ridiculous. So Bo Bichette before the season, his lowest barrel rate was 8.8%. This year, it's almost twice as bad. It's 4.5%. It's not great. Whip percentage is higher than last season's, especially on off-speed pitches. He's not hitting off-speed pitches well. I know me and you have commented on this podcast before. The low and away slider is seems like one of the worst pitches of all time to Bo Bichette. It seems like he's never seen a slider before the season. Other than that, a lot of these stats are very similar to previous years. The only other one I found that looked a little bit off to me was his average off the fastball. Again, average isn't anything or everything, but he had a 306 average in 2022, a 351 last season. This year, it's only 200. So again, you're not in fastballs well, you're not in off-speed pitch as well. That's probably going to compete, and you add it up together. It's not going to end up being a good season for you. But Bo Bichette, at this point, I think you just got to maybe throw away the season. Again, maybe Botember's coming up. He has had some success in September, but just looking to see any sort of improvements from Bo Bichette in this last second half here.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think that's shocking the world that Bo Bichette's whiff percentage and barrel rate are down. I think that's par for the course. That's exactly what the eye test is telling you. And like we always say, the stats don't tell you everything, but in this case, that paints a very good picture. That is exactly what it looks like. The slider, the low and away slider makes me want to just jump out the nearest window 30 floors up. But yeah, it's bad for Bo Bichette. It's not looking good. We need to see something from him to give us a little bit of hope for next year. I think that was the difference between Vlad last year and Vlad this year. Was I'm way more confident in Vlad going into next season than I would have been going into this season with Vlad, and I had high hopes for him that he was going to make a return. I think I even said that that he would do that. I think it was on the Locked On MLB season preview or whatever that we did. That I thought Vlad was going to make a return, and he's starting to. Yeah, you would have liked some more home runs from him early on. But I think overall, Vlad has been very, very solid. And hopefully these guys can get through some of these slumps and at least next season give us some enjoyable baseball to watch.
Yeah, with that picture I painted of Bo Bichette, they were calling me Picasso. But what fits Bo Bichette better right now? The garden hose swing or the wet pool noodle? Either or, very debatable. Leave us comments on that, which one looks more like Bo Bichette, or maybe Braden's swing could also be thrown in there. But just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. The likes, comments, subscriptions. Everything recently has been awesome. We have, again, noticed that. I think it's 67, 68%, somewhere in between there. If you guys have not subscribed, you guys are coming back, tuning into all the videos anyway. It helps us out a ton. It also keeps our podcast at the top of your page. I know we've taken a little bit of an all-star break with the TikToks, the Reels, stuff like that. There just wasn't a ton to talk about. Would have liked to do a draft one, but hey, we need some time off as well sometimes. Obviously, we've been doing 5 podcasts a week for 4 months now, 5 months, something like that. The time's been flying. I haven't really been keeping track, but it's been a little bit. So it's been nice to have at least a little bit of time off. But we're, as you guys know, if you have listened to previous episodes, we're pretty much everyday MLB players with all the slow pitch we are playing right now, especially from where we're from. It was raining so much at the start of the season. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think 5 of our first 6 games got canceled, and now we're feeling a little bit of the pain here. That's why some of us are taking personal days. You know, you gotta get in the rehab. You gotta make sure the body's right, especially for these podcasts. But one more thing, I guess, Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, the Amazon Fire TV's channel app, whatever's more convenient for you. Be sure to check that out. Expert analysis, some great takes over there. But Braden, you got anything else to add before we kick off the second half of the season?
Baseball's back. We're back. The boys are back. The Blue Jays are back. Let's just watch some baseball. Let's have some fun. Have some drinks with your friends. I don't know. Throw a pizza in the oven and just enjoy your time while baseball's still here. Take it easy, everybody, and we'll see you again on Monday.